We used to play our game every Thursday night. We would play like a couple hours, probably even 3 hours per night. It turns out that most of us were actually really tired by that point in time. We had our jobs and my son was going to college. So because of this, we decided to change the game so that we would play on Sunday afternoons. Of course, Sundays is a day that you don't only rest, but sometimes you have different commitments. So it hasn't been that easy to take the time out to play since we changed on Sundays. However, once we play on Sunday, we play for 4 or 5 hours. The reason I'm telling you this story is simply because we found out that now we have way less hours of gameplay during a month. And initially I wanted to make a video about campaign prep, but I decided that it would be better if I was a little more focused and just talk about prepping for a campaign when you have little game time. And the keyword here is time. Time is a very valuable resource. Therefore, we have to make sure that we make the best use of it. And that applies to everything in life, but it certainly applies to our game time. We have busy people that are taking time from their lives to sit with you and play a game. So you got to make sure that that time they're investing in your game, those 3, 4, 5 hours that they are taking out of their personal time, their family time, business or whatever, they are worth it. Your game has to pack a wallop. I mean, you really have to make it worth it. That will mean that you will have to pare down extra fluff and things that might not move the story forward. So one of the things that you can get rid of, if possible in your game, if it actually matches what you're doing in your game, is travel. Unless for some strange reason, travel is like the central focus of your game or your campaign and it's actually really important. Most of the time, travel is just random adventures and just a way to make it realistic when characters have to go from point A to point B in between faraway places. Another thing you might want to get rid of is buying stuff. So you have to use your common sense here. You have to think about this action of buying something. Will it actually be something important to the current game? Will it be something important to the current story? If yes, then definitely go through the motions and do the whole buying thing. If not, you might as well skip it or just take a short time. You don't role play the whole thing. Wrap it up quickly, look for information, prices, whatever, and get it done. Another thing you have to keep in mind when you are working with your campaign is to basically make every session like a one-shot. And of course, you have an overarching story and there's so many things that carry on throughout the timeline. But this is going back to the point where I was mentioning where you have to make sure that it really packs a wallop and you really get things done and the story moves forward and things happen, things evolve in your campaign. But make sure that the whole thing is almost like self-contained so that when they play those 4, 5 hours that they can get maybe in the whole month, you make sure that they enjoy that. They had a lot of fun. They achieved a lot of things. They moved the character forward. And basically they get this sense of accomplishment that you will also get. That sense that you have when you finalize the session and your players are satisfied and things move forward and fun things, interesting things happen. That's what you're looking for on every session. Yes, on every session on D&D, but specifically if you're running short on available playtime. So another thing to keep in mind is to give everybody enough time, give them attention, keep them in the loop, keep them involved in the game as much as you can, even if there are individual things that matter to separate characters, to certain characters. Try to keep everybody in the loop so that the time invested, the time used for the session is worth it to them. We might lose our focus on this because we're used to running games that run with frequency so we can spend time and all these little details and things that, you know, sometimes you might focus on a player for 30, 40 minutes because they have a solo scene or they're buying stuff. If that is very important to the game, to your story, to what you want to convey, then you have to let it happen. But you have to manage it, because if you bring your players to your game, you have 5 players and 4 of them do nothing for an hour and a half, they're not going to be happy. Even if the story is interesting, they're not going to be happy. So to summarize, keep things that are not essential to the story out of your session. Unnecessary travel, unnecessary negotiations, unnecessary interaction with NPCs. Second, make every story like a one-shot. Make every session like a one-shot, so that it has a lot of power. It packs a lot of action. And when I say action, I mean either role-playing or fighting. But you want things to move. You want things to evolve. And the final advice, keep all the players in the loop. Try not to focus on only one character or 2 characters. Everybody has to feel like they're using their time in the best possible way. Everybody has to feel like they're important to the game. And this applies to any regular session, but it's more important when you're short on game time. So tell me, how do you prioritize things when you have a short time for playing? Let me know in the comments. I would really like to know any other ideas, because I'm currently in that situation. If you like the video, click the like button. If you like the content of the channel, feel free to subscribe. And until next time, keep those D20s rolling.